Imagine a bustling city inside you, home to roughly 38 trillion microorganisms. That's more microbial cells than human cells in your entire body. This thriving community, your gut microbiome, doesn't just handle digestion, it shapes your immunity, influences your mood, and even affects how your body absorbs nutrients. And here's what many don't realize: after 60, this inner ecosystem undergoes shifts that ripple through your health. The decline in bacterial diversity, slower digestion, and changes in gut lining integrity aren't just minor details, they're linked to everything from inflammation to cognitive resilience. But the science also offers hope. Today, we'll explore what truly changes, why it matters, and most importantly, what evidence-based steps can support your gut, and by extension, your overall health as you age. As we age, the gut microbiome doesn't just lose diversity, it also becomes more vulnerable to disruptions from medications, chronic stress, and dietary shifts. Antibiotics, for instance, can wipe out beneficial strains, while processed foods starve the microbes that keep inflammation in check. Emerging research reveals another twist. Certain gut bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs, that protect against age-related conditions like insulin resistance and weakened immunity. Yet, after 60, SFAF reduction often drops, leaving the body more exposed. The gut-brain axis also plays a surprising role. With age, the microbiome's communication with the nervous system weakens, potentially accelerating cognitive decline. But interventions like fiber-rich diets, fermented foods, and targeted probiotics may help restore balance. Studies suggest that even modest dietary changes, like adding prebiotic-rich onions or resistant starch from cooled potatoes, can reignite microbial activity. The key lies in nurturing this invisible ecosystem before irreversible shifts take hold. What many people don't realize is that your gut is far more than just a digestion machine. It's a thriving, complex ecosystem. Picture a lush rainforest teeming with life, where balance is everything. Inside you, right now, roughly 38 trillion microorganisms, mostly bacteria, are working in delicate harmony. These microbes aren't just passive residents, they're active players in your health. The key to a healthy gut isn't about having one good bacteria, it's about diversity. Hundreds of different species, each with a unique role, coexist in what scientists call your gut microbiome. Take Firmicutes and Bacteroidetes, two of the most abundant bacterial families in your gut. Firmicutes help extract energy from food, while Bacteroidetes break down complex carbs and fibers. Then there are Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus, often called the friendly bacteria, which support immunity and keep problematic microbes in check. But here's what's fascinating. Your gut doesn't just talk to itself. Through the vagus nerve, a direct communication line between your gut and brain, these microbes influence everything from mood to memory. In fact, nearly 90% of your body's serotonin, the feel-good chemical, is produced in the gut. And then there are short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, propionate, and acetate. When your gut bacteria break down fiber, they produce these compounds, which act as fuel for the cells lining your intestines. They strengthen the gut barrier, reduce inflammation, and even help regulate your immune system, about 70% of which resides in your gut. So when we talk about gut health, we're not just talking about avoiding bloating or discomfort. We're talking about a system that affects your entire body, from your brain to your heart, to how well you absorb nutrients. And as we age, this ecosystem changes, often in ways we need to understand and address. What surprises many of my patients is how profoundly the gut changes after 60, and why it matters far beyond digestion. Let's walk through 4 key shifts the research shows. First, microbial diversity declines. Studies tracking thousands of older adults reveal we lose certain beneficial bacteria like Bifidobacterium and Faecalibacterium, while less helpful strains may proliferate. Think of it like a rainforest thinning out over time. Second, motility slows. The rhythmic contractions that move food through your intestines become less efficient, altering the environment for gut bacteria and often leading to constipation. Third, stomach acid and digestive enzyme production drop, sometimes by roughly 30% compared to middle age. This impairs protein breakdown and makes absorbing vitamin B12 notably harder. Finally, the gut lining becomes more permeable with age. While leaky gut is often oversimplified, we do see changes in the tight junction proteins between intestinal cells. This may allow more bacterial byproducts into the bloodstream, potentially triggering low-grade inflammation. None of this is inevitable, but understanding these shifts helps us address them, because we're talking about a system that affects your entire body, from your brain to your heart to how well you absorb nutrients. And as we age, this ecosystem changes often in ways we need to understand and address. Beyond these well-documented changes, emerging research highlights another critical shift. The gut-brain axis becomes more vulnerable with age. The vagus nerve, a major communication pathway between the gut and brain, shows reduced signaling efficiency in older adults. This may contribute to mood fluctuations and even cognitive changes, as gut microbes produce neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA. Additionally, aging alters bile acid metabolism, a process once considered purely digestive. Certain bile acids now appear to influence glucose regulation and fat storage, with imbalances linked to metabolic disorders. Another understudied factor is the decline in gut mucus layer thickness, leaving the intestinal barrier more exposed to pathogens. Interestingly, circadian rhythms in the gut also weaken, disrupting the timing of digestive processes and microbial activity. These findings suggest that gut aging isn't just about digestion. It's a systemic phenomenon with cascading effects on metabolism, immunity, and even mental health. The good news? Targeted probiotics, timed eating, and specific fibers, like resistant starch, show promise in counteracting these age-related shifts. What surprises many of my patients is how deeply the gut influences nearly every aspect of health, far beyond digestion. Let's start with immunity. Roughly 70% of your immune cells reside in the gut, where they're trained by your microbiome. As beneficial bacteria decline after 60, this can contribute to chronic low-grade inflammation, what researchers call inflammaging. This isn't just theory. Studies show measurable increases in inflammatory markers like IL-6 and CRP in older adults with less diverse gut microbiomes. Then there's the gut-brain connection. About 90% of your body's serotonin, a neurotransmitter critical for mood and sleep, is produced in the gut. Emerging research suggests that shifts in gut bacteria may influence cognitive health, though we're still untangling cause and effect. What we know for certain, the vagus nerve acts as a direct hotline between your gut and brain, and animal studies demonstrate that disrupted microbiomes can affect memory and stress responses. Cardiovascular risk is another piece. Gut bacteria produce TMAO when metabolizing foods like red meat and eggs, a compound linked in some studies to arterial plaque. Meanwhile, age-related drops in stomach acid and enzyme production impair absorption of nutrients like B12, calcium, and vitamin D nutrients, already harder to absorb after 60. The takeaway? A changing gut doesn't operate in isolation. It's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. Here's a fresh addition to the documentary narration. Avoiding repetition. Beyond immunity and cognition, the gut's reach extends to metabolic health. Research reveals that gut bacteria influence insulin sensitivity. Some strains help regulate blood sugar, while others may promote resistance. This microbial imbalance, often worsened by processed diets, could partly explain rising diabetes rates in aging populations. Another overlooked role? Detoxification. Certain gut microbes break down toxins in medications, affecting how drugs work or backfire in older adults. For instance, reduced bacterial diversity can alter the metabolism of common pain relievers, increasing side effects. Even skin health ties back to the gut. The gut-skin axis shows that inflammation triggered by dysbiosis often manifests as eczema, psoriasis, or accelerated aging. Probiotic trials note improvements in skin elasticity and hydration when gut balance is restored. Finally, sleep patterns are swayed by gut health. Microbes produce GABA and melatonin precursors, and disruptions correlate with insomnia. The gut's circadian rhythm syncs with your brain's. When one falters, the other follows. Every system is interconnected. Neglecting gut health means ignoring a linchpin of vitality. What many of my patients don't realize is that fiber isn't just about regularity. It's the primary fuel for the trillions of bacteria in your gut. Research from institutions like the APC Microbiome Institute shows that when these microbes don't get enough fiber, their diversity declines, and so does their ability to produce those critical short-chain fatty acids that support gut lining integrity and reduce inflammation. While adults over 60 should aim for 25 to 30 grams of fiber daily, many get only about half that often, around 10 to 15 grams, according to dietary surveys. That gap matters. Now, you might wonder about fiber supplements, psyllium or inulin, for example. While they have their place, Whole Foods brings something extra. A cup of lentils provides not just fiber but polyphenols and resistant starch that feed different bacterial strains. A medium artichoke delivers nearly 10 grams of fiber alongside prebiotic compounds you won't find in a pill. Diversity is key. Think legumes like chickpeas, vegetables like leeks and broccoli, and whole grains. These aren't just numbers on a nutrition label. They're the building blocks of a thriving gut ecosystem. And remember, this isn't just about digestion. Those microbes influence everything from your immune response to how well you absorb nutrients like magnesium and vitamin D. It's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. What many of my patients don't realize is just how profound an impact antibiotics can have on the delicate ecosystem of the gut. A single course of broad-spectrum antibiotics can substantially reduce the diversity of your gut microbiome. Some of those bacterial species may take months or even years to recover, if they ever do. Now, let me be very clear. Antibiotics are life-saving when truly needed. This isn't about avoiding them in critical situations, but it is about recognizing that every course comes with a cost to your microbial community. That's why it's worth having a conversation with your doctor when antibiotics are suggested, for conditions where their benefit is less clear, like viral infections, where they simply won't help. And it's not just antibiotics. Many commonly prescribed medications for adults over 60 have documented effects on the gut. Proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs, used for acid reflux alter stomach acidity, which changes the environment for gut bacteria. Metformin, a first-line diabetes medication, influences microbial composition. Even frequent NSAID use, like ibuprofen, can affect the gut lining. None of this means you should stop necessary medications, but it does mean being aware and discussing gut-supportive strategies with your doctor. The goal isn't fear, but balance, using medications when truly needed, while giving your microbiome the care it deserves. Because as we've seen, this isn't just about digestion. It's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. Now, let's talk about something many of my patients overlook: the powerful connection between physical activity and gut health. Research shows that staying active isn't just good for your heart or muscles. It directly benefits your gut microbiome. Studies from institutions like the University of Illinois have found that older adults who engage in regular aerobic exercise have significantly more diverse gut bacteria compared to their sedentary peers, even when their diets are similar. Here's why. Exercise improves gut motility, reducing the time food spends in your intestines, which helps prevent constipation and creates a healthier environment for beneficial bacteria. One study even noted that regular physical activity appears to boost levels of bifidobacterium, a key genus linked to better gut barrier function and reduced inflammation. And remember, inflammation isn't just a gut issue. It's systemic, affecting everything from your joints to your brain. The evidence-based target: aim for roughly 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity per week, whether that's brisk walking, swimming, or cycling. It doesn't have to be intense. Consistency matters more than intensity, because as we've seen, this isn't just about digestion. It's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. Here's a fresh addition to your documentary narration. Emerging research reveals another fascinating layer: how exercise timing may influence gut health. A 2023 study published in Gut Microbes found that participants who exercised in the morning exhibited more pronounced microbiome benefits compared to those working out later in the day. Scientists hypothesize that circadian rhythms, our body's internal clock, may enhance microbial diversity when activity aligns with natural cortisol peaks. Meanwhile, animal studies suggest exercise-induced changes in gut bacteria can even reduce anxiety-like behaviors, hinting at a microbiome-mind axis. Another breakthrough: short bursts of activity matter. A Nature study showed that just 10 minutes of post-meal walking significantly lowered blood sugar spikes, indirectly fostering a gut-friendly environment by reducing sugar-driven dysbiosis. Yet intensity isn't irrelevant. Interval training, even in small doses, was found to elevate butyrate-producing microbes, compounds crucial for colon health. The takeaway: syncing movement with your body's rhythms and meals might amplify benefits you're already earning through consistency. Because in the end, every step isn't just moving you forward. It's nurturing an invisible ecosystem within. What surprises many of my patients is how profoundly the right kinds of fiber can reshape gut health after 60. It's not just about eating more fiber. It's about feeding the hundreds of bacterial species we've discussed with the specific nutrients they need to thrive. Research from the American Gut Project gives us a clear target. Adults consuming 30 or more different plant species weekly show significantly higher microbiome diversity than those eating fewer than 10. Why does variety matter? Different fibers, soluble like oats and apples, insoluble like whole grains and leafy greens, fermentable like onions and garlic, each support distinct bacterial communities. Start small. If your breakfast is usually toast, swap in whole grain oats with flax seeds and berries. Lunch could add a handful of chickpeas to your salad, Dinner might include roasted Brussels sprouts with walnuts. These incremental changes compound over weeks. One patient of mine began tracking her plant intake and discovered she was averaging just 15 types weekly by consciously adding one new plant food daily. She reached 35 within 2 months and reported improved digestion and energy. Remember, we're not chasing perfection here. A tablespoon of mixed seeds counts as 3 plants. Herbs in your cooking contribute too. Because as we've seen, this isn't just about digestion. It's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. Now let's talk about fermented foods, a powerful yet often overlooked tool for nurturing your gut. What makes them special? Unlike supplements, fermented foods contain live, active cultures that interact directly with your microbiome. A groundbreaking 2021 study from Stanford University found that adults who consumed fermented foods daily for just 10 weeks saw a measurable increase in gut microbial diversity, more so than those who only increased fiber intake. Even more striking, their inflammatory markers dropped significantly. So what should you reach for? Plain live culture yogurt is a great starting point. Just check the label for contains live active cultures and avoid versions loaded with added sugar. Kimchi, that spicy Korean staple made from fermented vegetables, delivers a double punch of fiber and beneficial bacteria. Miso, a traditional Japanese paste, can be stirred into soups or dressings. And don't forget kefir or tangy, drinkable yogurt with even broader microbial strains. The key here is consistency and quality. A tablespoon of sauerkraut once a month won't move the needle. But incorporating a small serving of these foods most days, that's where the science shows real impact. And remember, because as we've seen, this isn't just about digestion, it's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. Beyond the well-known fermented staples, lesser-known options like tempeh fermented soybean cake offer a protein-rich alternative with a robust probiotic profile. Natto, another Japanese fermented soybean product, contains Bacillus subtilis, a strain linked to improved gut barrier function and vitamin K2 production. Even fermented beverages like kombucha, when unpasteurized, introduce diverse yeasts and bacteria, though their sugar content warrants moderation. Recent research highlights how fermentation enhances nutrient bioavailability. For instance, lactic acid in fermented foods boosts mineral absorption. A 2023 study noted that traditional fermented African foods like ogiri and iru exhibit unique microbial strains absent in Western diets, suggesting regional varieties may further diversify gut flora. For optimal benefits, prioritize unpasteurized, traditionally fermented products over mass-produced versions, which often lack live cultures. Experiment with small batches of homemade ferments like beet commendas or simple vegetable brines to avoid preservatives. The goal isn't just adding probiotics but fostering an ecosystem where they thrive, aided by prebiotic fibers from garlic, onions, or jicama. This synergy between microbes and their fuel creates resilience, echoing ancestral diets where fermentation was preservation and medicine. Now, let's talk about probiotic supplements, because here's what many of my patients find surprising. Not all probiotics are created equal. The marketing around these products often suggests they're a one-size-fits-all solution for gut health, but the reality is far more nuanced. Research shows that specific strains have specific benefits, and much of what's claimed on labels isn't backed by strong evidence. For example, Lactobacillus rhamnosus GG and Saccharomyces boulardii have well-documented benefits in preventing antibiotic-associated diarrhea, a real concern for older adults who may need these medications. Bifidobacterium longum 352-4, on the other hand, has shown promise in easing IBS symptoms for some people. But here's the catch. Broad claims like immune support or gut balance often lack the same rigorous science behind them. That's why I always advise my patients to discuss probiotics with their doctor before starting, especially if they're immunocompromised or taking multiple medications, as interactions can occur. And remember, because as we've seen, this isn't just about digestion, it's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. Beyond supplements, emerging research highlights the importance of dietary sources of probiotics fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, and sauerkraut, which deliver live cultures alongside natural nutrients that may enhance their benefits. Unlike pills, these foods often contain diverse bacterial strains and prebiotic fibers that nourish gut microbes. Scientists are also exploring postbiotics, metabolic byproducts of probiotics, like short-chain fatty acids, which may offer anti-inflammatory and immune-modulating effects without requiring live bacteria. Another frontier is personalized probiotics, where gut microbiome testing tailors strain selection to an individual's unique microbial profile. Early studies suggest this approach could improve outcomes for conditions like obesity or depression, where gut-brain axis dysfunction plays a role. Yet challenges remain. Storage conditions, manufacturing inconsistencies, and the gut's harsh environment often reduce probiotic efficacy. For now, experts emphasize combining targeted strains, when evidence-backed, with a fiber-rich diet, because even the best probiotic can't compensate for poor dietary habits. The key takeaway? Gut health is a puzzle, and probiotics are just one piece. What many of my patients don't realize is that certain compounds called polyphenols found in many plant foods may also support gut health. These plant compounds found in foods like berries, extra virgin olive oil, dark chocolate, and green tea act as prebiotics fuel for your beneficial gut bacteria. Think of them as specialized nutrients that selectively feed the microbes you want to thrive. A 2022 study in the journal Nutrients found that adults consuming polyphenol-rich diets had significantly higher levels of beneficial bifidobacterium and lactobacillus strains. The Mediterranean diet's well-documented health benefits? Research from the peer-read trial suggests up to 30% of those benefits may come from polyphenols' effects on the gut microbiome. Here's how to put this into practice. Drizzle extra virgin olive oil daily. Its polyphenols survive cooking at moderate temperatures. Add a handful of berries a few times a week. Their anthocyanins are polyphenols that research suggests may benefit the gut. Even dark chocolate in moderation. Look for 70% cocoa or higher provides flavonols that gut bacteria convert into anti-inflammatory compounds. And remember, because as we've seen, this isn't just about digestion, it's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. Emerging research reveals another fascinating layer to polyphenols, their ability to modulate gut barrier function. These compounds strengthen tight junctions between intestinal cells, reducing leaky gut and systemic inflammation. A 2023 study in gut microbes showed specific polyphenols in pomegranate and grapes increased production of protective mucus by up to 40%. Interestingly, polyphenols work in phases: first absorbed in the small intestine, then metabolized by gut bacteria into smaller bioactive molecules that enter circulation. This two-stage action explains why their benefits extend far beyond the gut. New findings suggest certain polyphenols, like those in black tea and apples, may even help rebuild gut microbiota after antibiotic use by promoting the recovery of keystone species. For optimal absorption, pair polyphenol-rich foods with healthy fats. The carotenoids and spices like turmeric become 200% more bioavailable when consumed with olive oil. Timing matters too. Consuming polyphenols with meals slows their breakdown, allowing more to reach the colon. Recent trials indicate synergistic effects when combining different polyphenol sources. Blueberries with green tea, for instance, enhancing microbial diversity more than either food alone. This evolving science underscores that we're not just feeding bacteria, we're cultivating an entire ecosystem with far-reaching consequences for metabolic health. Here's the narration for the specified beat. What many of my patients don't realize is just how much their gut health connects to broader aspects of their well-being, which is why having a few key conversations with your doctor can make a meaningful difference. First, ask about checking your B12 levels. After 60, reduced stomach acid often impairs B12 absorption, and deficiency is surprisingly common yet easily addressed with the right supplementation. Vitamin D is another one to discuss, since gut changes can affect how well you absorb it. If you're considering a probiotic, bring it up with your doctor, especially if you're on medications like antibiotics or PPI. Some strains interact, while others may be beneficial. Don't put off colon cancer screening if you're due. Early detection saves lives. And finally, never dismiss persistent changes in bowel habits, whether it's frequency, consistency, or unexplained bleeding, as just aging. These warrant proper evaluation. Remember, because as we've seen, this isn't just about digestion, it's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. Many individuals overlook the intricate relationship between gut health and mental clarity, yet emerging research highlights its profound impact. The gut-brain axis, a complex communication network, plays a pivotal role in regulating mood and cognitive function. Imbalances in gut microbiota have been linked to anxiety, depression, and even neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's. Incorporating fiber-rich foods, such as whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, can foster a diverse microbiome, enhancing both digestive and mental health. Fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, and kefir introduce beneficial bacteria, further supporting this delicate ecosystem. Hydration is equally crucial. Adequate water intake ensures smooth digestion and nutrient absorption. Stress management techniques, such as mindfulness and regular exercise, also contribute to gut harmony by reducing inflammation and promoting microbial balance. Additionally, limiting processed foods and artificial sweeteners can prevent disruptions in gut flora. While dietary adjustments are vital, understanding the role of lifestyle choices like sleep quality and alcohol consumption is equally important. By prioritizing gut health, individuals can unlock a pathway to improved mental resilience and overall vitality, underscoring the profound interconnectedness of our bodily systems. What many of my patients find most hopeful about gut health is how much we can influence it at any age, even after 60. The science is clear: small, consistent habits add up. More plants, more movement, more variety. These aren't abstract ideas. They're daily choices that reshape your microbiome over time. And while we can't turn back the clock, we can create an environment where beneficial bacteria thrive. That's the power you hold. But let's be honest, change isn't always easy. Life gets busy. Old habits linger. That's why I encourage my patients to start with one thing: an extra vegetable at dinner, a daily walk, or swapping sugary snacks for berries or nuts. Progress, not perfection, and always involve your doctor. Whether it's checking your B12, reviewing medications, or tailoring probiotics to your needs, remember, because as we've seen, this isn't just about digestion. It's woven into your immunity, your cognition, even your heart health. That's why supporting it matters so profoundly. So take what you've learned today, share it with someone you care about, and take that first step. Your gut and the trillions of microbes counting on you will thank you. One fascinating aspect of gut health is its deep connection to mental well-being. Emerging research reveals that the gut microbiome communicates directly with the brain through the gut-brain axis, influencing mood, stress levels, and even conditions like anxiety and depression. This means the foods you eat don't just fuel your body, they shape your mind. Fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, or kefir, rich in probiotics, may help reduce inflammation and promote serotonin production, often called the happy hormone. Another breakthrough is the role of fiber, not just for digestion, but as a prebiotic that feeds beneficial gut bacteria. When these microbes break down fiber, they produce short-chain fatty acids, which strengthen the gut lining and may lower the risk of chronic diseases. Even sleep and stress management play a part. Poor sleep disrupts gut balance, while mindfulness practices like deep breathing can improve microbial diversity. The key takeaway? Every choice: what you eat, how you move, how you rest, ripples through your entire ecosystem. It's never too late to start nurturing it.